And that's what they're fighting for, the IBO Championship tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an atmosphere here. Very hard for Ringside Boxing Promotions proudly presents the main event in association with Prince Promotions and Matchroom Sport, and sponsored by PokerMillion.com for a great game of online poker. And a very warm welcome to our viewers joining us live and exclusive here on Sky Sports. You've joined us for the very best ringside seat in the business. All the officials have been appointed by the IBO President Ed Levine of Coral Gables, Florida, USA. And at ringside, the steward of the British Boxing Board of Control is Mr. Brian Rennie. Our timekeeper at the bell, appointed by the Welsh Area Council, is Mr. Neil Burden. Our 3 scoring judges, all appointed by Fight Supervisor Charlie Payne of Ham Common, Surrey. Richie Davies of England, Michael Pernick of the USA, and Hilton Whittaker of the USA. Referee in charge of the action from Derby, England, is Mr. Paul Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, they are the officials, and now the contestants. Introducing to you firstly the challenger. He's fighting out of the red corner, wearing the blue trunks trimmed with red. Weighing in at 9 stone, 8 pounds, 10 ounces, and bringing an 18-fight record. 15 wins, 6 inside the scheduled distance, and 3 losses. The undefeated Commonwealth champion. Ladies and gentlemen, he's from Hartlepool, where he is known as the Bulldog, Kevin Bennett. And across the ring, wearing the red, green, white trunks of Wales. 9 stone, 7 pounds, 13 ounces, with a 23-fight record, 22 wins, 11 inside the distance, and just 1 loss. He makes his first defense. He is the reigning and defending IBO lightweight champion of the world, from Maidstone, the Power, Jason Cruz. So let's get the action underway. 12 rounds of boxing for the IBO lightweight championship of the world.
Referee Paul Thomas.
Okay, I'll stand you both in the dressing room. Just very quickly, keep your shots in the target area, and remember to defend yourselves at all times during this contest, unless you really shout stop boxing. Best of luck to both of you. Touch gloves. Well done.
Paul Thomas, recently a judge at the Big Shock when Vladimir Klitschko was beaten in 5 rounds by Lamont Brewster. His scorecard not needed in the end. Will it be tonight, we wonder? There's Jason Cook, former European champion, never lost it in the ring. He lost it on the scales because he couldn't make the weight 16 months ago, but nicely inside tonight. And he's been under the watchful eye of one of the Matchroom team, Sandy Risley, in London, to make sure his preparations were spot on for this one. He's in the Welsh colours, the blue trunks of Kevin Bennett from Hartlepool, who will keep the Commonwealth lightweight title whatever happens here in this IBO championship fight tonight. By the way, these two met 15 years ago in a British schools quarter-final, and Cook edged it so long ago that neither of them can much remember.
Well, Bennett starting off things the way I'd expect him to. Nice tight guard. Don't be slipping punches, block them and be in a position to counter punch. You won't want to be opening up too much in the first couple of rounds. His confidence must be dented with the nightmare the last 12 rounder turned into, so he'll be looking to conserve energy but not get caught with silly punches early.
Looking for counter shots, I think, tonight, Kevin Bennett, although he says he's not going to give an inch of ground. He's going to stay there with Kevin Bennett. He says he's not going to baffle me with science. I can counter off a tight defense. Interesting to see how the strategic battle lines are drawn. We know what Cook has. He's got a very fast left hook. He's aggressive, a pressure fighter, and he digs pretty hard enough to knock out Sandro Casamonica to win the European title in a massive shot.
Well, Cook's the one boxing at home with the advantages, but sometimes that can be a disadvantage. The pressure is on Cook to initiate all the attacks, to make it a spectacle, whereas Bennett can just bide his time and take his time and pick his shots, and that seems to be what his plan is at the moment. Tight defence, to just let the punches go and then back it behind that high guard again.
Bit of extra pedigree, you'd say, about Cook's record going into this, but worth remembering that Bennett, a former soldier, has mixed with welterweights and light welterweights in the past. He's moved down recently to the lightweight division. Should be pretty strong, you'd think, at this weight.
Well, he's making Cook work for the openings. He's not offering too much at the moment. This is sensible boxing in the first round from Bennett. Just whenever he gets close, clipping a couple of punches, but straight back to that defence again.
But definitely a step up tonight, this, for Bennett. Is he good enough? A leaping left hook from Cook. Every punch he lands cheered to the echo. Sell out here tonight in Bridgend.
Some nice moves from Cook, stepping to the side, just trying to find some target. He's tumbled already. It's not going to be easy to find.
There is Jason Cook, who was an ABA featherweight champion when he was only 18. He won a silver at the Commonwealth Games in his amateur days. And I think for a long time as a pro, he was pretty underrated till he won that European title.
Yeah, when you look at his record, only 11 stoppages and 22 wins. He has more power than that. He's a better puncher. And I think we're seeing that in recent performances. That was a good cagey round, opening round from Bennett.
Interestingly, tactically, this one, I think. Cook on the right of your picture with the Welsh colours, the blue of Kevin Bennett. Fight this between the former European champion and the current Commonwealth champion. And the winner, I think, can call himself the best lightweight in the British Isles. Cook, by the way, is also ranked number 10 in the world by the World Boxing Council, the preeminent governing body, some would say, not everyone. Determined to be tight here. He knows about the power. There's the counter from Bennett. That's what he's looking to do.
Tactics are bang on. They've obviously put a lot of thought into this. Now, see, Cook is the one making the mistakes because the pressure is on him. And I think that little right hand shook him slightly. All the pressure is on Cook. He's the one who will make the mistakes. Bennett boxing perfectly at the moment, tactics-wise.
Good feeling between the two fighters there. They just touch gloves, get on with it. But this is smart so far from Bennett. He's thought about this, he's done his homework. This fight, remember, was postponed. It was due to happen in February, but Cook had flu. So he's had a long time, probably eaten, slept, and been drinking while he's been thinking about this guy, Cook.
Good cagey boxing from Bennett, but if he wants to win the title, then obviously he's going to have to come out the shell eventually and start trying to dominate a little bit. But this is good punch picking and blocking most of what's coming his way.
Nice little left hand on the inside there from Cook, who's too good, I think, to just let Bennett get away with what he's doing. He'll come up with something a little bit different, although just a hint of him being outthought a little early on.
I think a lot of that is down to the fact the pressure is on Cook. If we have a little quiet spell, he's the one expected to come up with the fireworks, so Bennett can just keep in that little shell as long as he likes, virtually.
Cook has turned his life around after a spell in prison for a credit card fraud during the times when he was working for the post office. Worked hard when he was behind bars. They took him down to the gym and he was trained and he came out fit as a flea.
I tell you, Cook's not quite sure what to do here. He's trying to work things out. He realises there's Bennett's in a shell there. He's not showing any target. Doesn't quite know what to do with him at this moment.
Neil Fallon in the corner there with Kevin Bennett, Michael Marsden as well. Fallon, who has a farm and a converted stable that they use as a gym out in the wilds.
There's a nice little right hand at Bennett found. See, nothing smart, nothing fancy, nothing too clever, just straightforward, good sound boxing behind a tight defence.
It's a good start by Bennett, but remember how he faded late against Michael Muya of Kenya on the night he won the Commonwealth title. In fact, so befuddled was he at the end of that, that although he'd won, he went to the dressing room thinking he'd lost. Had to go to hospital afterwards. It was a traumatic night, but a victorious one nonetheless.
I think he's also been playing some mind games, talking before the fight about it going to be a war, because it's quite the opposite. I think Cook was expecting a war, but Bennett's come up with something different.
Well, it didn't ought to be a secret, because I saw an interview he did in a boxing magazine where he described exactly these tactics, Jim Bennett. So I don't know whether Cook saw that. He ought to have done, or somebody should have showed him.
Well, Cook is the one with the problems at the moment. Bennett is obviously pleased with the way things are going. I have them 1 round apiece at the moment. But if he was worried about the 12-round distance, these are also the perfect tactics. He's wasting no moves, wasting no punches.
Absorbed crowd here in Bridgend, where JPR Williams used to be a hero, and a left of the body from Bennett. Might have been on the low side. Cook thinks it was, but the referee's giving him the 8 count. Cook is complaining and says that was an illegal punch, but you heard the referee there saying legal blow as far as he was concerned. It'll be interesting to have a look back on that one. We think it might have been on the low side, but it counts.
Well, my feeling, Ian, was that it was on target. I'm looking forward to seeing that in replay. But again, it's the clever boxing, finding the openings, blocking the leads and coming back with counters. When you're blocking punches, you're always in a position to come back with the counters, and that's what he's doing. Blocking everything here.
Now Cook raises the tempo appreciably, and the heat. Listen to the crowd respond to that as he tries to drag Kevin Bennett out of his shell and into a war. There's something at the chess match going on in there as well, and plenty of mind games too. Bennett will be lifted by the fact that he had Cook on the floor. He dropped his stuff for a moment there, nearly got caught by a right hand as they split up after the call of break. Can he keep his cool though, Bennett? I think that's a question here too.
Well, my question at the moment, can Cook keep his cool, because he's the one showing signs of frustration. He's on the floor, he believes it's from a low blow. Maybe the replays will show us that. But it's a big round for Bennett because of the knockdown.
No, good blocking again by Bennett. He's getting his gloves on and defending beautifully so far. But there's a long way to go in this, and maybe several more chapters as well. The heads came close to clashing together in there as well. Dramatic round. Now then, was that a legal blow or not? Check for yourselves.
Yep, no question, it was low, Ian, so that's cruel judgment on Jason Cook, because with the referee calling it a legal blow, it's a big round against him. Here we see it again. Yep, no question, it was low. From our angle, it didn't look low, but no question when we see it on replay.
Well, that wasn't sort of south of the border down Mexico way. That was in the Gulf of Mexico, wasn't it?
Yep, no question with that. No question whatsoever.
But that's called legal by Paul Thomas, the referee. Of course, he doesn't get to see what you're looking at there. He has to see it at live speed and make an instant decision, and his instant decision was fair knockdown.
And I have to say, Ian, that on my first look at it, I thought it was a legal punch as well. So, but we have to sympathise with Jason Cook.
Very honest of you to say so, Jim. It's the 4th round. Watch the heads, I think is what he's telling them. But that might have been scored, or should have been scored, really. A 10-8 round for Bennett, who would have an early lead here away from home. He's billed from Hartlepool, the former soldier, but he was born in the Black Country. He's a West Bromwich Albion fan, so he's had something to celebrate already, their promotion recently. This would be a bit better for him, I would suggest.
Yeah, I think the early plan of Bennett was to frustrate and annoy Jason Cook, and he's managing to do that. Cook's trying to find a way to prise open that defence. They're not finding it yet.
I think his route to doing that, Jim, is look for those punches to the ribs, get that guard down. Go around the side, if he can, of course. This is where Bennett, I think, has to prove tonight that he has arrived as a top-level operator in this lightweight division. He has got 3 defeats on his record against Gary Ryder, Glenn McLaren, Colin Lyons. In fact, he lost 3 out of 5 at one stage. Looked to be losing his way in the business, but has rediscovered the thread all right.
Well, Cook punching through the defence a little bit more now. He was trying to find ways round the defence. Now he's just punching right through it. You can win rounds with just being the busier of the two, as long as he doesn't allow Bennett to get the counters off.
He's having to think about this now, Jason Cook. And here, he's thinking, well, if I lead, I'm going to leave myself open to the counter unless I can make the shot count. It's a bit like after you at the moment.
This is not the kind of fight that Jason Cook enjoys. He prefers to declare war open and just let the punches flow.
Took a good right-hand counter again from Bennett. Credit to his team. Whether he can hold this together as a strategy for 12 rounds would be a question. He might. Cook will fancy that he can turn this into his kind of fight. The head a bit free with it, Bennett there.
I think Cook's going to have to let some punches go in 3s and 4s. Single shots against such a tight defence won't get anywhere and leaves himself open to counters. Let them go in 3s and 4s and keep Bennett on the defensive.
But he's not managing to do that. Bennett turns him neatly and sinks in one to the solar plexus. And Bennett's still the boss in there.
Next week on Saturday Fight Night, light welterweight Colin Lyons tries to make a move into international class. Pablo Sarmiento puts his international belt on the line against Lyons. Saturday Fight Night next week at 8 on Sky Sports 1.
Jason Cook might have to switch and make changes to what he's doing here, because what he's doing at the moment isn't really working. What he would like this to become is a bit of a brawl, a tear-up. Almost a peekaboo style defence, isn't it, from Bennett?
Yeah, well, this is where you need to use the smarts. Maybe show little feints, try to draw the first move from Bennett. Either that or let 4 and 5 punches go so that he is not able to come back with the counters. But if you throw single shots to a man employing this kind of style, he'll counter you all night long. So either draw some leads, show the feint, threaten, or let punches go in bunches.
Cook, by the way, is unbeaten for 6 years. In fact, he's only lost once ever. That was against Trevor Smith in a big surprise. The Birmingham southpaw beating him in a round. But I think that was, looking back on it, just a blip. Doesn't mean much now, because he's done quite a bit since then. It would be an upset if he was to be beaten here tonight, though. A good fight, and it's good to see two of the best guys in a division meeting each other. I wish we could get a bit more of that going on.
Cook not quite so reckless. I think he's tumbled. This is going to be a long night's work, whatever way it goes.
Little half smile plays around the lips of Kevin Bennett. He must be thinking to himself, well, so far, so good. He'll know he's away from home. There are 2 American judges scoring this, by the way, along with British referee Richie Davis. Referee in the ring, Paul Thomas doesn't score.
Well, that was the little feint I was looking for from Cook, but he didn't manage to follow it up. But at least he's thinking what he's doing, and against this style, that's what you have to do. But Bennett's still happy. He's working at his own pace.
He's just mixing it up quite cleverly as well. Bennett, he's not always looking for the counter. Sometimes he's prepared to just take it to Cook too.
A lot more thought into both fighters' campaigns here. I think Cook may be just edging this round. Most of it being at long range, but still not the kind of fight he wants to get involved in.
Well, I'll tell you something, if Jason Cook is going to go through into real world class, he is going to have to think on his feet and have plans B and C against the top guys.
Yep, you have to learn how to open opponents up, and this is a classic example. Bennett's not doing anything clever, it's just hands in front of his face, so you have to force them into making some mistakes. And that's happening now. Bennett beginning to open up a little bit.
Can't quite land cleanly still, but Bennett missing as well in that exchange. Not quite as clean with his counter shots. After 5 rounds, this is a close-ish looking fight. Let's see what the computer's making of things so far. Punches landed to the head, more from Cook, to the body, miles more from Bennett. Pretty level overall. I think you've got it level, haven't you, Jim?
Yeah, I do have it level, but I have to say, Bennett's really won a trick with that knockdown.
I've got it by 2 points to Bennett, so we've scored 1 round differently somewhere along the way, Jim. But it's that kind of fight. A few of these rounds have been arguable.
See the big 10-8 round for Bennett because the referee decided it was a knockdown. So that's put him in a stronger position than maybe he should have been in that count.
And they touch gloves after a little misdemeanor. Blue trunks, remember, of Kevin Bennett, who's been boxing since he was 11 years old. Initially at the Worley Amateur Boxing Club that produced world title contender Pat Cowdell, one of our top featherweights of the modern era.
Well, I think Bennett's tactics have been good up to now, but if he wants to go home with a title, we're approaching the time where he has to start producing a little bit more. You have to go and take a title, so he's going to have to come out of his shell a little bit. He's done the right things up to now, but we're getting towards the halfway stage, so it's now time to get some good work out now.
You think he can't afford to carry on doing this? This strategy won't win him the fight, you don't think?
I don't think so. In close rounds, if you can't decide on punches landed, you tend to go with the aggressor. You want to be... If you're winning a title on the back foot, you have to do it convincingly, and it's not convincing enough.
There was a good uppercut in there from Cook, by the way. There's a gunshot come out, I think, from one of the fighters. It's Cook, who looks a little bit frustrated with the way things are going at the moment. He's not really able to do his thing in the way he would want.
I think he's actually, you can see him settling himself down, trying not to become frustrated or erratic. He's trying to keep a coolness about him. I think maybe his corner have said, look, settle down, it's going to take a few rounds for this guy to open up. But I really feel Bennett has to start doing something. He's doing pretty little at the moment.
And there is the doubt about his stamina. Remember how he faded in the last couple of rounds when he won the Commonwealth title. You'd have to wonder about that a little bit over the 12-round distance. If it goes that far, of course. Cook on the inside with a good-looking shot. And he wrestles Bennett around there in a trial of strength between the two of them. I think that's what it was. Cook looking to use his reach advantage. Maybe just spear the jab in a few times. Bennett has got a little more negative as it's gone on. You might be right, Jim. I think he may have to do a bit more than this to win it here in Wales.
Yeah, well, they say you have to go and get a title. Nobody hands it to you. So he's just a little bit laid back. His tactics are good for the first 3 or 4 rounds of a title fight, but really the time has come where he has to start producing a little bit more.
But I suppose he's thinking if he goes to war with this fellow and makes it a tear-up, that'll be Cook's kind of fight.
Yeah, well, I think that's why Cook has shown so much patience.
Now then, we've got Colin Jones and Colin Dunn with us tonight. Let's hear what they're making of things.
Well, Colin, not a really easy night for Jason Cook, as you thought may happen. Why not?
I think it's very scrappy at the moment, and it's going to be a very difficult fight to mark. I think that my mental adding up with the score is that Cook is just slightly in front, but not a certainty.
And there's that knockdown call, which was low, of course, for Bennett, who's tucking up well, isn't he? And but is he doing enough?
He's most definitely not doing enough, Adam. He needs to sort of get out of that little shell he's in and start working a lot more. In my book, Jason's running away with the fight.
Colin, do you think Bennett can come into it? Does he need to now?
Yes, well, he hasn't spent much energy up till now, so I think if he comes out of his shell, yes, there's a possibility of a big upset.
Interesting thoughts. Anybody's fighting.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Great to hear the views of those two fighters who gave us some excellent value themselves down the years. Colin the Dynamo Dunn, remember his win over Billy Schwer, fantastic fight that, and Colin Jones, so unlucky not to become a world welterweight champion, but in those classics with Kirkland Lang a generation back. They're right, though, this is a bit scrappy, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, it's down to Bennett's tactics. I was complimenting his early tactics because I think that was what required, but now is the time to come out and produce. The trouble now is if he misses with a punch, he's tending to grab hold of Cook. He realises he can't trade with him, and he's trying to nullify the work. But for me, the better quality is coming from Cook now. He's more eager to commit, more prepared to commit himself. There he goes again, clash of heads.
Clash of heads, yeah. Cook makes sure the referee knew all about that as he holds onto the side of his forehead. We've been worried about that from an early stage, Paul Thomas. No point deduction that we could see.
I don't know that was anybody's fault, Ian. I mean, it's just this kind of fight. They're both springing in. I mean, they're not able to box themselves into range, so they're having to spring in now and again. There's obviously clashes are going to happen. That's better stuff from Cook.
Cook working on the inside with the right hand. He is doing more. He's looking to make the fight a bit more. And in close rounds, that would count, I think, with the judges, who are supposed to be looking for effective aggression. If it is tight, they'll look to the guy who's making the fight, who's trying to take it to the other fellow. That is Cook at the most. Well, that's a decent right hand from Bennett. That was his best punch for a while.
See, really, we should be seeing a bit more of that for Bennett. It'll have to be a bit more dramatic. If you want to win a title on the back foot, you have to make it clear to all the judges what you're doing.
Just a bit too negative, Bennett now. Cook, although he's struggling to shine or anything like that, just a feeling at the moment he's probably just about getting the job done. Could change again.
Bennett is trying to come forward now, which is a little bit more like it, but still in that shell.
No, I think he knows about Jason Cook's power, doesn't he? Although Cook's stoppage record doesn't read like that of a big knockout puncher or anything like that. 22 wins in 23 fights, half of those wins inside the distance. But 2 European Championship victories inside 5 rounds, and a win over Stefano Zoff as well on the night he lost the title on the scales but won the fight anyway.
Well, when a fighter's marching forward with that cup defence, the uppercuts are usually the shots. Just dip the legs and bring up either the left or the right hand up through the middle. But the straight punches and hooks to the body are being blocked.
Styles not gelling too well. Cook. There's one of the recent Welsh boxing heroes, Steve Robinson, the Cinderella man who won the WBO featherweight title at 48 hours notice and kept it for quite a while as well.
Actually, looking at Steve Robinson, that's a little bit what Bennett wants to do. That's a clash of heads, an obvious clash of heads. But Steve Robinson could let the punches go from a high guard, and it's time Kevin Bennett started doing the same. Has to let more punches go if he wants this title to change hands.
The blonde-haired Jason Cook, 29 years of age. Can he win this fight and then go on and mix with some of the top names in the world, maybe? You'd like to think that would happen. Rather too many British fighters these days quite content to stay in their own little pond, fighting for fringe championships and in a bit of a comfort zone. Not that Cook's in any kind of comfort zone tonight. This is a real good domestic matchup. That jab might be a key weapon for Cook tonight. He might just have to box his way to victory as well as using that classic left hook of his. Again, there's nearly a head clash there. You can see that would happen. You might get a cut opening up like this.
It's gone a little bit scrappy again.
Neither man has really ever got hold of this fight by the scruff of the neck so far.
Cook trying the uppercut at last. It's been the obvious punch for the last couple of rounds.
Again, nearly the heads banging together just because of the styles and the way this fight is working out. That's a big risk in there. It's happened already, could happen again.
Cook has dropped the pace a little bit, which will suit Bennett. Bennett wants to work at his own pace, nice and steady. Cook should be changing the tempo here, letting burster punches go. He's gone to sleep a little bit here.
Can't find an opening. That's better from Bennett, snapping out his jab. Needs to up his work rate, I would say. Get involved in it a wee bit more. He might have to just throw away his original plan here and go for it.
I think it's okay to come forward behind the high guard, but he has to let some punches go. But this really has been a quiet round for Cook.
Yeah, he's cruising a bit in this round. He hits the gloves with that attack too. It's been messy, this 8th session. Half a minute left in it. Bit of swelling underneath the left eye for Cook, who walks into a Bennett jab.
Bennett's tactics are okay if he would just be a little bit busier.
Is he a bit too respectful of Cook, would you say?
Yeah, he's just simply not doing enough work. You have to go and get titles. You have to make your presence felt a little bit more.
Well, there's the British lightweight scene at the moment. We have it with Cook at 1, Bennett at 2. The guys underneath will probably have an argument there. David Burke, former European champion at 3. Graham Earl, Bobby Vanzy, Steve Murray, who's on the comeback trail. Dean Phillips on this bill tonight as well. Here's the 9th round. Cook boxing at home.
Yeah, but turned it back level with that lazy round from Cook. So really, if he drops the pace and allows this pace to stay, then that will suit Bennett. Cook has to take this by the scruff of the neck and really raise the tempo.
I think Bennett maybe just is beginning to realise as well that he may be able to get a wee bit more aggressive.
I think Bennett's biggest fear may have been the 12-round distance. Now he's in the last third of the fight. Maybe he'll let things go a little bit more.
Well, he's had a good amount of time to recover from that fight with Bouillard, which ended with some of the most dramatic pictures we've ever shown you on Sky in boxing, because Bennett hardly knew where he was. There was a good argument for saying he should have been pulled out or stopped, but he wasn't.
So we're not really seeing good, clean punches landed on target. Every round that little bit scrappy, not easy to score.
Watch the elbow, who's a little warning for Bennett there. This time it's Cook looking for the counter, but he doesn't land with it. Remember, Cook got crap late on in his fight with Stefano Zopp. I noticed he was just shaking his right leg around a round or so back. I don't know whether there's any problem again with that.
Well, Cook not really committing himself either. That was a better shot there, although it was blocked.
And you'd have to say it's just been a tad disappointing. Styles have never quite married.
Now, this has been a poor round. I mean, probably Cook landing the more punches, but we can hardly call them quality shots.
There's no real ramrod quality to his jab. It's not a range fighter, but it's not much more than that. It's not snapping the head back of Bennett when it goes in, and again the shoulders like Cook with a little left hook. He's done a bit more in this round, I think, than Bennett, who's found hard to get off with punches.
He's unable to sustain the pace. Really, he should be raising the tempo. This tempo suits Bennett. That's better.
That's got him with the right hand. He felt that one all right. Just wanted to lean on for a moment. It's a good punch from Cook. I fancy he won that session. Well, it's a tight fight, and we've made the point before. A lot of these rounds, you could have an argument about them, but I think Cook won that last one, didn't he, Jim?
Yeah, but he's just gone in front of my card again, and I really feel it's time now for Bennett to come out of his shell, take a few chances, and impress the judges. It's been scrappy. I've got it close, but I wouldn't argue if the judges had it well in Cook's favour, because he is the one who's tried to force the fight.
Yeah, I've got Cook ahead as well. Now, not by much. Bennett, remember, credited probably with a 10-8 round when Cook was down in round 3. We saw later it was a low blow. The referee thought otherwise, though. This is the 10th round. So we're into the stretch of this one. Cook's IBO championship on the line, which he won against the green-haired Argentine Ariel Alvera, whose hair looked like a well-manicured lawn from Wimbledon or somewhere.
Cook finding the jab now. Really, he should be putting punches together. Bennett is a fairly stationary target. So although he's blocking shots, if you throw them in 3s and 4s, some are going to get through. And even if they're blocked, you'll be impressing the judges.
Well, there's been an almost total absence of combination punching in this fight. It's just been too messy. This is not the Jason Cook we're used to watching. He's here trying to box, almost jab and move style.
Maybe he feels he's in a more comfortable position than I have him. I have him 1 point up at the moment. He's getting the better of things so far in this round. But I just don't feel Kevin Bennett has really gone out to try and grab hold of a title.
Now, he's not doing enough to rip it away from Cook. It's Cook's title, and Cook's at home, and Bennett will need more.
That's the uppercut we were looking for.
That was a good punch. That's lifted the crowd. It's lifted Cook as well. He throws in the leather, but he's a bit wild. Nothing landed, and Bennett with enough about him to push him away. Not much of that landed, in truth, although the crowd got a bit excited. It all started from a Jason Cook uppercut, but he got wild, didn't he? He wasn't picking the shots very well.
Yeah, I think opportunities are so few and far between. When one presented himself, I think he got a little bit overexcited. When a cool head was needed, he could maybe have punished Bennett then. But raising the tempo was the right thing to do. He wants to keep it raised.
And now it's Bennett who starts to look a bit more frustrated. Cook almost looks as if he's settled for this as a strategy to try and get a W against his name.
And Bennett just seems to say, well, what I'm doing is keeping me in there, so I'm not changing it. He's not really going, chasing this title, I'm afraid.
Maybe he's thinking, well, let's get through the 12 rounds, see what the judges make of it. Maybe I'll nick it.
Well, that's a possibility, but that on my card is another round to Cook. So 2 up with 2 to go.
Hey, that's how I've got it as well. I've been looking over your shoulder, though, Jim. There we are, landed. Well, he's only landed 7 more, according to the computer, and Bennett's economy is markedly better.
Yeah, I think it's one of these fights, you pick what you like, but for me, Cook has been the man who's tried to get into the driving seat, tried to force the action, and Bennett, you can't blame him for the tactics in the early part of the fight. He stuck with those tactics, and a little bit too much spoiling for my liking.
Well, we're coming up to the last 2 rounds, and it was the last 2 rounds where Bennett had a lot of trouble in his last fight with Michael Muya of Kenya, but I don't see any sign of him running out of gas here. It hasn't been what you'd call a ferociously intense, fast-paced fight.
No, he certainly paced it sensibly. You have to give him credit for that. And it must have been a big worry for him at the total exhaustion he suffered in the last time he did 12 rounds. But he wants to give it whatever he has left in the tank. He wants to start using it up now.
Cook finding it hard to put on a big show here in front of his home fans, but sometimes in boxing with the styles mix, you just have to settle for getting the job done. There are always going to be nights like this. They can't all be spectaculars, can they?
No, that's true. But I mean, it's disappointing because Bennett has been a fairly stationary target. He's not moving around the ring. He's standing his ground. So don't throw single punches. You know he's going to block them and try to come back with counters. Put punches out together. Little bursts of punches. But Cook, I think, is settled down. I think he obviously feels he's hanging on to his title, and he's just seeing the rounds out as well now.
As long as the judges are seeing it the same way, roughly, that we are. They might not. But I'd be a bit surprised if they were seeing things Bennett's way. The other question, I think, which comes into play, Jim, is he's ranked number 10 by the WBC, Jason Cook. Is he ready to mix with the likes of Floyd Mayweather and Acelino Freitas? Not on this evidence, is he?
No, I would say definitely not. It's not fair to judge a man in this kind of fight, but he's been posed problems, and to be quite honest, he hasn't really found the answers. When you have to compare what the top boys will be doing with Kevin Bennett tonight.
What would they be doing, do you think?
Yeah, well, they would open them up, that's for sure. Probably take a bit more chances than Jason Cook's taking.
And with a decent-looking left hook around the side. Cook, second or two back. But it has been an unsatisfactory fight, really. Never quite caught fire in the way we might have hoped.
Yeah, I think we expected fireworks. I mean, we thought fireworks were almost certain when we looked at both their styles, but it just hasn't happened. And Cook just trying to pick his way now. Not prepared to take any chances himself.
Nothing in that jab of his a lot of the time. Just poking it out. He's just almost using it to stop Bennett doing anything, keep him off balance. It's another non-vintage round, that, in all honesty. There's his girlfriend, Joanne Evans, who's expecting a baby in 13 days' time. Not every pregnant mum would be turning up to watch her fella fighting in that situation. She's obviously a cool one.
Well, I wonder if we'll see a grandstand finish from either boxer. I don't know what the Bennett camp think. I don't see a lot of urgency in there if they feel maybe he's on the verge of picking up a title.
They've both only been the full 12 rounds once each, these two. Cook 3 rounds ahead on Jim's card, and indeed on mine, with 3 minutes to go. So Bennett, I reckon, needs to just throw in everything here. He ought to be doing that, really, because he's not going to get too many chances like this, although he can go back to his Commonwealth crown and earn from that.
I mean, we do have to remember, Ian, no fighter at any time has dominated any part of a round. Every round, a little bit scrappy at times, but fairly close. But I've always leaned towards Cook, because he's the one who seemed to be trying to make a fight of it in the early stages. This is better from Bennett. Where was this earlier?
Well, he's going for it because he can see the finishing tape in sight, and maybe the corner have told him, you're probably behind, you're away from home, you better go for it, look for the knockout. Cook has been stopped, remember, just that once. Does he think he's in a big lead here and is going to coast through the last 3 minutes of this? Body shot goes in from Bennett. He caught a little gulp from Cook. I don't know whether that's straight a bit on the low side as well. Didn't look like it.
And that is the sign of a fighter who's worried about the 12-round distance when he can pick up the pace like this in the 12th round. He should have been doing this round about the 9.
Now maybe Kevin Bennett will come on for this experience as well. Mind you, he's 28. Now he can't really afford to be hanging around too much. Oh, there's a right hand. Gets through. He's gone negative in this last round. Cook, I think he does think he's in a big lead and doesn't need to do much except stay out of trouble. He's boxing like that, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's been pretty flat the last couple of rounds, but I've scored the rounds towards him because he's been a little bit busier than Bennett, who's always just been a little bit too negative to me. But for me, but this is what Bennett should have been doing earlier.
He's certainly winning the last round at the moment, Bennett, but it remains untidy, messy, disappointing. This is not a great fight between, if they are, Britain's two best lightweights. But the result will be a significant one for whoever gets the nod. Cook looking for the counters now, late on with the right hand. Now the crowd are roaring in this last round. But it's wild, crude, with very little landing cleanly and a lot of this spoiling. Sometimes it will always be like this, I guess, Jim.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to see how the judges have got this. I've got it with Cook by 2 points. But I would not be shocked if the judges want to see this differently, because it really was a scrappy 12-rounder.
It was. Well, they both raised their arms at the end of it. I, too, have it by 2 to Jason Cook. I gave Bennett the last round, but a lot of those rounds you could argue about. A lot was missing, a lot was hitting gloves. There was a lot of messing about and spoiling and holding, and Cook had to change what he normally does there to kind of evolve a style to get the job done. Whether he did, we shall find out in a little while.
Well, I was impressed with Bennett's tactics in the early part of the fight. I think you had to be a little bit careful with Cook's power, but he didn't take it any further. He carried on doing in the second half of the fight pretty much what he was doing in the first half. You can see the stats here.
Cook threw a lot more punches, a lot more, but Bennett landed with more of those he threw. 2 American judges and Richie Davis of England, Kent to be exact, scoring this. We'll get their cards in just a moment. Those are the 3 wise men. Well, we hope they're wise anyway.
Well, not an enviable job, but I'm fairly confident that Cook has hung on to his title. I think he deserves, of the 2, I think Cook deserves to be champion. He put a little bit more into the 12-rounder than Kevin Bennett did, and Bennett may regret, if he doesn't get the verdict here, that he could have given a bit more of himself.
So Jim and I both think that Cook just about did enough to win the fight, but frankly our opinion doesn't matter at all. It's only the opinion of the 3 guys scoring at ringside which would decide this. Cook on home territory. I wonder how they have scored this. Bennett, a respectable performance, but maybe not quite enough. Here we go now with the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of championship boxing, the judges' scorecard reads: Judge Richie Davis, 116-112. Judge Michael Pernick, 115-113. Hilton Whitaker, 115-113. All 3 judges are in favour of. And still, the IBO Lightweight
been a vintage fight, but I think the judges have got that just about right. By 4 points on one card, Richie Davis is, and by 2 points on the other two, which is how we had it as well. Cook holds on to his title, and I think that's just about right.
Nicky Piper, was that overall scoring about right for you too?
Yeah, I mean, the knockdown wasn't a knockdown in the third round, so that was a 10-8, which shouldn't have been. I only had a 1 round taken into account. Yeah, clearly a close fight, but Cook deserved to win it.
And was he in control for most of the way?
I didn't think he was. I thought it wasn't a good performance from Jason Cook. I think this is one course he found a bit difficult tonight, and that's the one criticism of him. You know, these world-class fighters have the ability to open up opponents and work out the style. Jason didn't have that tonight. It's something he needs to work on if ever he can get that.
That's the big plan, of course, that this IBO belt is going to be used as a launch pad for something bigger. When other fight promoters look at the tape, will they be suitably impressed?
Well, I don't think so with that tonight. It wasn't a good performance. It was a scrappy sort of fight, though. Styles clashed, and, you know, you can sometimes forgive fighters for that. Kevin Bennett tried. Jim was quite right. He should have put more effort into the later rounds instead of just the last round. But the last one against Moya probably, you know, worried him a little bit. But a good performance, getting through it, I suppose.
Yes, let's see how pleased he is with his own performance tonight. Adam's going to talk to him now.
Jason, you retain your IBO title, but it wasn't the dramatic style in which you won it, was it? Pleased or disappointed?
I'm pretty disappointed because I trained really hard, you know. I'd like to thank, first of all my training team, Brian Evans, Chris Cook, Bill Ross. I'd also like to thank Sandy Risley because I up to Romford for 2.5 weeks to, you know, do the final preparations, and I weighed in yesterday, 1.25 pounds under, and it's the lightest I've weighed for 4 years.
You looked in fantastic shape. Why didn't it really gel in there for you?
In some spurts, I just felt flat. And, like, you know, I was like, after 12, I don't feel tired, but I just felt flat on the cage. You know, I've hit my shoulder a bit. I've had trouble in the past, but, like, you know, I got to get it seen to. But, you know, like, my training team and Sandy Risley as well, and Romford got me through this. I'd also, like, you know, if I could thank, like, Bridgend Ford as well. And flew.
He was tough, Kevin Bennett, but and you got hit by that low shot. Did that take something out of you?
Yeah, like, I know they give me a count for it, but it was. I think if you see new cameras, it was pretty low, but I didn't make too much of it. I think if you counted me out, I'd lost by KO, but I know
it may be a bit too much respect in there, but you felt you did enough.
Yeah, you know, me and Kevin go back a long time. We box each other as amateurs, and I got a lot of respect for Kevin. He's a tough guy. He's a warrior, really. He's a tough guy, but I got to admit, I didn't expect that. I thought it would have been a little bit easier. Maybe I went in a little bit overconfident, you know, but I just, like, on times I was flat. But I think I was in charge all the time and doing enough. I got caught once or twice sloppy because my left shoulder went a bit, and I just kept it low.
These nights can happen. You got the W. Well done.